Hey guys, Matt here, Broken Supercoach, checking in. Yeah, apologies for the late check-in. Uh, gather round in Adelaide, obviously, and I, being an SA lad, attended basically every game, 7 games. So, um, yeah, got home yesterday quite late. Supercoach it was probably maybe, I didn't know how long it was going to be till it reset, but I was just wrecked after a long day like that. So, yeah, drop it in this morning. I figured I reset a bit earlier than I thought it would, especially with DPPs coming in, but it looked like they were doing DPPs after the scores reset. So, we'll go through those, but there's not really anything to really comment on. Here's the score 23-36. I've seen a few sort of say that that's about what people got. It's a higher score towards the end. I've saw some 2500s, 2400s, but if you go up 8k in the ranking, it's a pretty decent score. 2300. You'd be happy if you got anywhere around 23ish. 24 to 25, you'd be really happy with. You obviously made some really good choices there. Average score 2100, I think you'd be pretty upset with, if I'm honest. I don't. You've missed some pretty big players there if you've got anything lower than, say, 22. So that's that. We've gone up the ranks again. Like I said, another 8k. We've nearly cracked the top 10k again. And we're making moves. We're making moves this week. So, yeah, already made up 50k from what we were doing. Yeah, we're tracking. We're tracking now. So quite happy at the moment. Probably made the wrong move on the weekend. I'll show you what the trade did. Didn't make a trade video for the same reason. Thursday night game, had just been to it, had basically no voice. Crows are probably one of the best teams in the AFL at the moment. They're looking unbelievable. I was absolutely feeding it to every Carlton player. Had front row seats there. Made it on TV 3 or 4 times, I think. Including one where Harry McKay got a free kick and I just absolutely sent it to him. Couldn't hear me, though, because there was some, which is a bit of a shame because there was some wise advice given to Harry McKay there. But either way, I slapped the VC on Jordan Dawson. If you don't have Dawson now, you're probably going to have some issues getting him. 655 is a pretty wild price for a bloke who's now defender and mid. Watching him on Thursday in the flesh, he is unbelievable. Probably the best midfield performance I saw on the weekend. Take a note that I didn't watch Brisbane and North play because that wasn't at Adelaide Oval. It was in the Hills, so I didn't see that game. But as far as pure mids go, he was as good as any mid that I've seen. Now, that being said, he may start getting tagged. Teams tagged him towards the end of the year across halfback. Whether it's a style that can be tagged, I don't know because he's a big lad. He wins contested ball. You can't tag someone out of a mark, and he still takes those intercept marks. So, yeah, I think he might go 120 here. So I don't think it's wrong to try to get him in. He's going to go to 700k, so you'll still pay 50k cheaper than what he's worth if you try to bring him in now. But he may be, if you can't bring him in this week as your first upgrade, then you probably have to wait for the Crows buy because as people learned with Oliver, you can't be spending 700k on a bloke. Sorry, I got really carried away with Dawson there. The trade I made was I brought Ryan in for Setterfield. Setterfield had a high break even 88, and and Davey was the other one I took out for with a JVR, who I'm not really that hot on, but had to bring in someone. So JVR, who actually did quite well in the wet. Ryan was pretty poor. In hindsight, should I have brought him in? Should I have gone Stewart? Maybe I have the money to do Stewart. I maybe should have, but I mean, and I'll probably do Stewart this week, if I'm being honest, if I don't do someone like Bont or someone. So, should I have brought Stewart in instead? Yeah, probably. I don't know who I would have brought in otherwise because it had to be a defender last week. So, yeah, probably Stewart. In the end of the day, I think Ryan's still top 6, so he's fine. Won't really talk about Dacos. Everyone knows Dacos. He's actually got to see the game. First time I've seen him play in person last night. The guy loves a touch. Absolutely loves getting the pill. I've never seen a bloke he reminds me of a young Tom Mitchell. He is very effective and very damaging sometimes, but the bloke just loves getting the footy. I don't know what else to say about him. He's obviously a captain option. Uh, Plays off halfback. Doesn't get tagged. Don't know why he doesn't get tagged. I know people say, "Oh, I don't know if you can tag him." You can tag Nick Dacus. If you can tag Oliver out of a game, and if you can tag, which nearly happened up until he started to really pop off. If you can tag guys like that out of the game, then you can absolutely tag Nick Dacus. And teams, I think, should start doing it. Whether Essendon run Setterfield with him this weekend, we'll find out. Or not this weekend, next week, we'll find out. Won't go into much more detail. Had Jones on the bench, big wet weather day, 88, whatever. McKenna was absolutely horrendous. 55 is actually quite good, considering that he didn't touch the ball for a minute. Jimby was subbed out, which was disappointing. I think he'll probably get rested, but you got to trade him this week anyway because he's an 88 break even. Like I said, traded Setterfield, should have traded McKenzie. We won't go into too much detail there. Lachie Neale was a freak on a pretty decent oval in Mount Barker. Oliver looked like he wasn't going to do anything for a minute, and then basically got these points in a single quarter. Led's a freak. There's not really much else to touch on through the mids. McKenzie is obviously now DPP, but same story. You gotta trade him this week. Have English. We'll touch on Rowan Marshall because he ended up being quite good at the end. But same story. Gave away a lot of free kicks. Gave away a lot of footy. Doesn't really contest. I mean, I'll give you the context. I was at the Saints Collingwood game, and you don't really have much to watch because you don't really care for either of the teams. And frankly, they were playing pretty average footy. It wasn't really an entertaining game until the very end. So you just watch Rowan Marshall lumber around, and he doesn't gut run. He doesn't do a lot of running at all. He just jogs around the ground, attends stoppages. And if you're getting 123 against Billy Frampton and Ash Johnson, to a point where your coach pulls you out of the game and has Mitch Owens do the ruck for you, I mean, that is a concern. Yeah, he's got 123. But he plays Darcy this week, and I reckon he might... Oh, no, he doesn't play Darcy. That's good. I don't know who I was thinking plays Darcy. English probably plays Darcy. He plays Carlton this week, so he could do the same, who don't have any tools, but Lysette might beat him up. Goldie might beat him up. Rob might beat him up. Flynn might beat him up. And then we get all the way to Hawthorn. So he might get genuinely 5 pretty average scores out of him in the next few weeks because he just doesn't have a contested bone in his body. That contested mark barely goes up for him. Only takes the easy marks. Only gets the uncontested grabs. Barely gets hit outs to advantage. Doesn't score goals. Doesn't even drop forward. So historically he would score goals for us, but now he doesn't play forward. He sits outside. So St Kilda plays 16 in and 3 out, or probably 15 in and 4 out, with Wilkie as the deepest, and everyone else just sort of around the 50, and Marshall is one of the guys that sits around the 50. He sits about at a flank somewhere, really awkwardly positioned. Most teams are not bombing it to that area, and Collingwood definitely aren't. So, again, same story. When you're clearing it out of 50, he's there to take intercept marks, and... with Wilkie there, with Battle there, with Marshall in an awkward location, he doesn't really get a lot of those. So, yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. He's lucky to get 120 because he gave away about 3 free kicks as well. Forward line, sorry, went a lot about Marshall there, but, saw the game, so I wanted to talk about it. Not a lot to talk about here. I didn't... wet weather game, so you can't really comment on the 2 Melbourne lads. Really wet, Rosie, so he's best 6, that's fine. Taranto's best 6, he's fine. Dunkley's best 6, that's fine. And now Zeeble and Sheasel have defense DPP. Whether Sheasel can do this all year will be crazy, but either way, he's going to be a side grade to a real player towards the end, and you may even want to hold him longer. Like we did Dacos, we held him all year. and Zeeble as well. We might hold all year as well, which means that if they are, we've actually already got 5 keepers in defense. So let's say 5, let's say 4.5, because we'll hold one of these, so we'll say half, and then these 3, Dawson, Dacos, Ryan, and then one of those. So um, pretty good stuff. So 1 plus the half is what we'll say. Pretty good. What are we going to do this week for a trade? I think I think the trade does it itself, especially with 140k. You got to trade Jimby and you have to trade Mackenzie. And what I'll do, that gives me 744k, and I'll send. How did I do it? If I remember rightly, actually, I don't think there's 2 options here, right? So I can send Zeeble or Sheasel up, doesn't matter which one, up. You can bring in Bontempelli, and then you can trade in. So there's a few rookies to look at this week. Matt Roberts or Dylan Williams. I like them both. I don't think I want to trade both in, but I could for cash gen. I don't think I've got anyone to trade out. So I like Dylan Williams, but I'm not against Matt Roberts either. I like them both. I think job security, I think Dylan Williams is probably better off than Matt Roberts. So let's just say it's Dylan Williams for the time. And that's the trade there. So Bont, Williams for Mackenzie and Jimby. Nothing new there. If I don't have anyone else to trade, maybe Baker. So you could also boost and trade in Roberts for Baker as well, which I'm not against. I don't think you lose a lot of money with Baker if you hold him for one more. And next one is, let's say it's not Bont. You click out a Bont there. We'll send Dawson to the middle. No, sorry, you send, Dawson to the mids. It gets a little bit awkward, and we bring in, say, a Stewart. And then throughout the year we get Dawson in, we get Sheasel in. So, right, because I'm looking here. Sorry, bear with me. Tom Stewart. So we can do that as well. Not opposed to either of those moves. I don't really like. So I'll give you my justification here. I'm not huge on this move just because it puts Dawson into the middle, and ideally I want him back in here, but it's only going to be temporary, so I'm not too fussed about that. The issue being is that we potentially have a defender coming up next week, so it leaves Dawson in the middle for a fair while, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So we've got one. You've got to really grab every defender that comes in as far as DPP go, and Seamus Mitchell Jr. Is one of them. So if he plays, then we kind of have to get him in, and that makes it hard to get Dawson back for a little while. But it's not the end of the world, because if you have guys who can come into defense, it means that you don't need a mid. So say next week we're training McKenna. Mitchell comes in for him, and say the week after that it's Cowan. Then you just trade him out and Dawson goes up and you can go middle. So I don't mind it. And I think Tom Stewart, I hate that we're already bringing back Tom Stewart, but that's probably who we bring back in. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, it's Bont. That gives us a bit more cover here in the midfield. And forward line's looking fine. So anyway, let's do that, because I like Stewart. You know, we obviously liked him. He is best 6. He's nearly on my never again list, but whatever. So, and that gives us, essentially, our defense is finished. If you consider Sheasel is a defender for us as well. So, Dacos, Stewart, Ryan, Zeeble, Dawson, and Sheasel as our back 6. And I don't think we miss anyone that important in defense if we have those as our back 6. And towards the end of the year, we could go Sheasel for, say, a Lloyd. People who want to talk about Sinclair, I don't. I saw him today. He's either not fit or doesn't play the same role. Wasn't that impressive at all. Wilkie's the one I would pick with intercept marks if I had to go a St Kilda player. But yeah, I don't think Sinclair, unless that role changes, I don't think Sinclair is relevant for this format anymore. Um, yeah, and if we want to go like how we're going to go on field, then I've enjoyed fielding these guys. I think, yeah, perhaps we bring Liam Jones. Oh, I don't know. Whatever. It's rookie roulette every time. Again, rookie roulette. Hollands has to be on field. I looped him in last time. But with Constable, you can play a loop again because for some reason they don't want to play him. I've just put Marshall there just for fun. And we probably play Fergus, who's in a bit of form, actually. He's kicking goals now, so probably play those 6. We probably slap the E on... who are they playing? Oh, I'll probably slap the E on this guy. Anyway, that's that. As far as captaincy choices go, we don't have a lot. A little bit concerned that Tim English is the vice captain choice that we're going to have to use. No. Yeah, a little bit concerned that we don't have any captaincy choice. Say Constable doesn't play, then we can vice captain Dawson again. Because our loop is from GWS, who plays Saturday afternoon, and there's 2 games, Monday and Tuesday. So a bit concerning there. We do run the risk of vice captaining someone like Dawson, him scoring a 150, 160 against Hawthorn, and then Constable as the sub, and we can't get that score out of him. So I think, as bad as it sounds, I think we have to just hope that English doesn't get towed up by Sean Darcy, and that's extremely unlikely. And what it means is you probably just have to put the C on. Maybe Dawson. I think you could put the C on Dacos. I'd be worried about him getting a tag. I think Oliver against Richmond is no issue as well. We've got a lot of good captain options. Looks like Oliver against Richmond's probably the best captain to run. So yeah, anyway, a bit longer than usual, but I had a lot of insight to give, and it's upgrade season, so you probably want a bit longer video to listen as far as what advice you would give. Who to bring in if you've got the 600k? Bring in, if you have to do 3 trades, then obviously sure, bring in Roberts and send Baker. If you're the premium you look to bring in, for me, because of how poor defense rookies are, with only one on the horizon in the near future, I think you've got to bring in another defense rookie. I think defense premium, sorry. I've got, like I said, I've got 6 now. I actually don't need to worry about, other than putting them in the line, I don't need defenders. Wagner, I don't think is a footy player, so he's not coming. And that Hawthorn kid, he may not even play, but whatever. If they're the 2 that we've got to bring in, cool. Wagner, Mitchell, Dawson, Sheasel. That's defense finished. And then we'll start looking at mids. Yeah, so anyway, rambled for a bit. Thanks. See ya. Have a good one.